Greetings, YouTube. Pyrosmurf has asked me about what would be my favorite character build. He's normally the GM, and I can understand that. I've had that role thrust upon me on many occasions. But he has the opportunity to play, so he's looking for some inspiration about what he should play. And I'll be honest, I don't think I can tell you what my favorite character build is. It all depends on what the game needs and what my personal fancy is at that time. One of my favorite characters I ever played was Ranger Lord Sir Takan, or is that Sir Ranger Lord Takan? I can never remember which of those titles comes first. Which I played from first level up through 26th in AD&D 1st edition. And he was awesome. Human Ranger, played him pretty much straight up just as he was. Later we threw in all kinds of strange things like psionics and unarmed combat and things like that. But I loved him. But he was also the first character I ever played. So while he's a favorite memory, was he the best character for me? I don't know. He's the one I picked first and I stuck with it. But if I were, say, to give someone said right now, this very minute, you can play anything you want, I would play a half-orc shifter in Radiance. If someone said, okay, we're doing a game that's, psionics based, I'd probably play a soul knife, and I'd have to really consider which version of the soul knife. Is human the best fit? Is a elf the best fit? Probably not an elf. That constitution penalty is a pain. And if someone said, okay, we need a fighter for the group, I said, well, what my racial choices, and if dwarf's in there, I'm very likely to pick a dwarf. Though I could pick a half giant or a Goliath. And if someone said, okay, we need someone with some thieving skills, but we want a little diversity, I very well go with a human rogue who is really interested in linguistics and becoming a professor, something along the lines of Indiana Jones. I believe I've discussed that character before. So there isn't necessarily a favorite build for me. It's going to be what the game needs. It's going to be what my fancy is at that moment in time, which, I'll be honest, can change. I can be a very fickle individual. What am I reading at the moment? What films have I seen recently? What ideas have I gotten from my fellow members of the YouTube RPG Brigade? What has been discussed on message boards and news groups online? They can all impact my choices at that moment. But if you were going to ask me, okay, what are my favorite races? It's going to be human and dwarf. I like human flexibility. I just like dwarven iconic imagery. The dwarven cleric, the dwarven warrior. Though I played a fighter thief in first edition extensively as Goth. He was a fighter thief. And this was before I really understood that Goth had a meaning other than the name I made up. And I played Vulcan, a dwarven warrior who was really into stone carving and dreamed someday of settling down with a gnome wife because he had a fetish for female gnomes. But I could play a dwarven psionic character without a problem. Wouldn't bother me in the least. Or a dwarven sorcerer, something out of the ordinary. That would be cool. Or even a dwarven warlock. That might be fun. I've wanted to play a human warlock for ages. I think the warlock is a wonderful class, and in some regards is what I think the sorcerer should have been. So there are a lot of options out there, and I feel for Pyrosmurf when he's suddenly presented with the chance to play. You're suddenly like, what should I play? Because you're giving an opportunity. You may not have that opportunity pop up again, especially if you're your community's eternal GM. So you have to jump at it. But as an example, in the television series Scrubs, a television series I quite enjoy, even though the writer and main character in real life is not someone I happen to have a whole lot of respect for at the moment. They had a character who was diabetic, and his wife would allow him to have candy twice a year. And so he decided the best way to choose, because he couldn't choose, was just to hit a button on a machine with his eyes closed. And whatever fell out, that's what he ate. He let fate choose what he was going to have. So maybe this is a bit random. Maybe this is let the party tell you what they need and then fill that role and see how it goes. You know, you obviously have some choices involved in that. You're not going to be shoehorned into something that is very, very rigid. It's going to be a category of things. They say rogue, rogue's a big category. They say fighter, fighter's a big category. They say ranged person, that gives you a lot of options. Doesn't even have to be a fighter. Warlock would be a good example. And with the new Pathfinder Psionics book, Psionics Expanded, there's some nice ranged options there. I thought to do that review this week. So I'm going to throw this out to the community at large. Pyrosmurf needs help. He needs ideas. So tell me, what are your preferred builds? What are your favorite character combinations of race and class and career paths? I want to know.